Imagine walking down an isolated road in the middle of the night, only to encounter a man who claims to possess the power of black magic. That's where our story begins. My boyfriend and I were on a journey through the diverse landscapes of India, a land steeped in mysticism and legends. As night fell, we found ourselves on a secluded road where the only sounds were that of our own footsteps echoing through the silence. Suddenly, we came across a figure under the faint glow of a solitary street lamp. An old man, his features obscured by shadows. His words, cryptic and laced with an eerie undertone, hinted at a power beyond our comprehension: black magic. His unsettling presence, coupled with the curious intrigue of his claim, led us to a decision that we would soon regret. Little did we know that night was about to take a chilling turn. The magician, with a sly grin, promised to introduce us to a being from the other side. His words echoed through the room, making our hearts thump wildly with a mix of fear and curiosity. We watched, captivated, as he began his ritual, chanting in a language foreign to our ears. A hush fell over the room. The air grew heavy, almost tangible, as if something unseen had made its presence known. The magician's eyes flashed with triumphant satisfaction, and dread washed over me, a feeling that we had just opened a door that should have remained closed. Suddenly, the room came alive. Objects around us began to move on their own, defying the laws of gravity. A book flew off a shelf, a chair slid across the room. The once familiar surroundings transformed into a stage for an unseen actor, performing a chilling spectacle that made our blood run cold. The reality of the situation sank in. We were not alone. An invisible entity was amongst us, making its presence known through these terrifying antics. My boyfriend gripped my hand tightly, his knuckles white, a mirror image of the fear etched on my face. We were trapped in this horrifying reality, unable to escape the invisible presence. Our eyes darted around, trying to make sense of the chaos. The eerie silence was punctuated by the magician's laughter, a chilling symphony to the macabre ballet enacted by the invisible entity. The dread within us grew, a monstrous entity feeding off our fear. Each second stretched into an eternity as we wrestled with the horrifying reality. This was not a trick, not an illusion created by the magician. We were in the presence of something beyond our understanding, a being from the other side, invisible yet powerful enough to alter the world around us. The room grew still, the objects ceasing their dance as abruptly as they had begun. But the silence was far from comforting. It was the calm before a storm, an interlude in a horror show that we were forced to partake in. An invisible hand seemed to be orchestrating these terrifying events, and we were the unwilling audience. As fear gripped us, the magician revealed the horrifying truth. His eyes, black as coal, bore into ours as he spoke in a voice that was chillingly calm. What you are experiencing is not a trick of the mind. It's not an illusion. I have summoned a ghost, a spirit from another realm. The very words sent shivers down our spines. A ghost? Here with us? The absurdity of the situation was overshadowed by the terrifying reality of what was happening. The magician's words were punctuated by the eerie creak of a chair moving across the room, untouched by human hands. The room was deathly quiet, save for our ragged breaths and the pounding of our hearts. What had started as a journey of exploration and adventure had quickly spiraled into a nightmare. The air around us seemed to grow colder, denser. Every shadow, every sound became a potential threat. Our minds were racing, trying to make sense of the impossible. Then, in a moment that would forever be etched in our memory, we felt it. A cold phantom touch, a brush against our skin that was there and then not. It was an encounter that could not be explained by logic or science. We were standing in the presence of the unknown, the unseen. The magician, unmoved by our terror, continued his chilling narrative. He spoke of the spirit's past, of a life cut short, of a soul unable to move on. It was a tale as old as time, yet one that had never felt so real, so immediate. As he spoke, we could feel the ghost's presence growing stronger, its spectral energy spreading through the room. It was as if the magician's words had given it power, had brought it to life. We were trapped in a nightmare, caught between the living and the dead. Our fear was no longer just a feeling, it was a living entity, wrapping its icy fingers around our hearts. We had come face to face with a ghost, and there was no escape. In our desperation to escape, we realized that fear was our biggest enemy. The chilling realization that we were trapped in this macabre dance with an unseen entity and a black magician, it was like a nightmare we couldn't wake up from. The magician's chilling laughter echoed through the dark alleyways of India, a constant reminder of our horrifying predicament. We knew we had to strategize, had to find a way to outsmart this twisted sorcerer and his invisible puppet. The magician, intoxicated by his own power, was too confident, too sure that we were helpless. This was our chance. We had to use his arrogance against him. We had to make a run for it. With our hearts pounding like war drums in our chests, we seized our moment. The magician was too engrossed in his dark arts to notice us slipping away. We ran like our lives depended on it, because they did. The labyrinthine streets of India, usually vibrant and full of life, now felt like an eerie maze, each turn a gamble between freedom and a dead end. But as we sprinted through the narrow lanes, we couldn't shake off the bone-chilling fear that the ghost was still with us, still tailing us. Every rustle of leaves, every shadow cast by the dim streetlights, every sudden gust of wind, they all felt like proof of its presence. Our minds were playing tricks on us, or so we hoped. We didn't stop running until we were miles away, until the magician's lair was nothing more than a speck in the distance. We had escaped the magician's grasp, breathing a sigh of relief. But the ghost? That was a different story. The invisible entity that had once been a mere concept was now a haunting reality. We had outrun the magician, but could we ever truly escape the ghost? Only time would tell. The sun rose, but the fear within us remained. An eerie silence hung in the air, a chilling reminder of the terrifying ordeal we had just experienced. In the aftermath, everything seemed saturated in a sense of dread and uncertainty. The bright rays of the morning sun could not dispel the shadows that clung to our minds, the echoes of a night that defied reality. We were left questioning our sanity, the rational part of our minds struggling to comprehend the impossible. We had touched the edges of the supernatural, the unseen realm that lurks just beyond the reach of our understanding. It was like a veil had been lifted, revealing a world we weren't prepared to see. The ghost, invisible yet palpable, had made its presence known, moving objects with an unseen force. The memory of it sent shivers down our spines. We could not shake off the feeling that we were still being watched, that the ghost was still with us. Every creak of the floor, every rustle of the wind, every shadow cast by the flickering light became a potential sign of its presence. We were ensnared in a web of paranoia, jumping at the slightest sound, the simplest movement. We moved cautiously, as if treading on thin ice, afraid of invoking the unseen entity again. The fear was no longer about what we had seen, but about what we couldn't see. Our encounter with the Black Magician had opened a door that we couldn't close. It had exposed us to a reality that was darker, more complex, and far more terrifying than we could have ever imagined. We were left with a lingering unease, a sense of dread that clung to us like a second skin. We had always been wary of the unknown, but now we had a reason to fear it. The incident was a stark reminder of the invisible forces that might lurk around us, unseen yet felt. They say every experience teaches us something. Our encounter with the ghost was no different. It was a stark reminder that the world is full of mysteries, some of which were not meant to unravel. But more importantly, it taught us to tread carefully when it comes to the unknown. It's easy to be drawn in by the allure of the unexplained, by the promise of an adventure. But not all mysteries are meant to be solved. Not all doors are meant to be opened. Sometimes, the best course of action is to respect the unknown, to maintain a healthy skepticism, and to prioritize safety over curiosity. This experience was a chilling one, to say the least. It was a night that tested our courage, our resilience, and our belief in what we thought we knew about the world. But we survived. We emerged stronger, wiser, and with a tale that would chill anyone to the bone.